Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, or this will be in your bed tonight. What is the most inoffensive thing that someone got offended by? I told my friend that her hair looked cute and she turned toward me and snapped, "So it doesn't look cute all the other days." No, Sasha, sometimes you look like shit just like everyone else. This is exactly what Doug was afraid of when he thought about complimenting Patty Mayonnaise. I once got written up because a eavesdropping co-worker overheard me talking about my drug use. I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic and I was giving another co-worker advice to pass on to her recently diagnosed father. Go to watch those drugs. No, seriously, you especially have to watch those drugs. You might die. This reminds me of one of my first jobs after I moved out, working in a pharmacy. New girl was watching me do something. I asked if she has ever done it before new house and she seemed curious. 15 minutes later I'm pulled aside by the manager and I'm getting written up for trying to make someone else do my work. GRR. It still makes my blood boil thinking about it a decade later. Same job let me go for showing up late to work one time in a year and a half. Sometimes I still want to send them nasty hate mail. I don't know about most inoffensive, but it did make me SMH. To start, I am a white female. I have a co-worker Peggy who is black. I have known Peggy for 20 plus years. Peggy takes great pride in her appearance and always has her hair and nails done. She does all kind of different stuff with her hair, different colors, styles, curled, straight, etc. And it always looks amazing and flattering on her. So, whenever Peggy has a new hairstyle, I always compliment her on it. She smiles, laughs and says thank you. I've been doing this for literally 20 years. I mentioned this to another co-worker Liz in passing and she said that I should watch my step because complimenting Peggy on her hair could be offensive because it was racially based and I shouldn't single Peggy out because she's black. She said that she was only speaking up because she didn't want me to get in trouble with HR. I just kind of looked at Liz askance and changed the subject. I'm hoping if Peggy was in any way offended by me complimenting her hairstyle, that she'd speak to me directly or she'd go to HR herself. In 20 years it hasn't happened. Go to love when someone is offended on another's behalf. B. The perceived offense is utterly absurd. I was the recipient of something like this once. Apparently one of my co-workers called me weird, which in no way offended me, and someone else reported it on my behalf. By the time HR contacted me about it, I didn't even remember the incident. It was so irrelevant. They had to remind me, with me thinking I was in trouble for something. I ended up being far more offended by the intervention than by the incident. Yup, I'm Asian and there is a stereotype in my city about bad Asian drivers. I was talking to someone else from Vancouver in a Discord server once about that stereotype. We both agreed that it was true in some cases. Suddenly, someone else, a white girl, chimed in to say that we shouldn't offend others by our conversation. Beach, I am willingly participating. If you read this, Michelle, I hope you know that you can't take offense on other people's behalf. She also got offended that a Jewish person was laughing at a Jewish slow cooker recipe book. He obviously didn't mind and found it humorous. My food allergy. I'm severely allergic to all peanuts, nuts, fish and seafood. Totally sucks, but that's my life. I've had plenty of people over the years get offended when I turn things down due to my allergy. Like legit all I have to say is oh no, I can't have any. Thank you for the offer. I got a food allergy. I have to say number, and I instantly get the stink eye and judgmental comments thrown my way about how rude I am. Like sorry I can't eat the food that will kill me? This one time in high school, I went out to dinner with a huge group of friends. They all ordered a seafood appetizer after I repeated multiple times I was allergic. But they went ahead anyways, which is whatever. But one friend got a salad as well and didn't like tomatoes. But I do. So she took her fork that she was eating the seafood with to pick the tomatoes out of her salad to give to me. I had to tell her I couldn't eat the tomatoes because it touched her seafood. She got all offended and then put the tomatoes on a clean fork and I still had to repeat that it's been contaminated and I still couldn't eat it. She'll just have to waste it or give it to someone else who's eating seafood. She gave me a huge stink eye for that, made a comment to someone beside her, and made me feel like complete shit because I couldn't eat her cross-contaminated tomatoes. As someone who was previously a chef and has a degree in dietetics, one does not mess with allergies or even just dietary restrictions. I had someone mad because I couldn't get her anything because she was vegan and we were a seafood restaurant. She was out with friends. I could give her garlic bread and cook some veggies on the stove, but that was about it. Once I explained how our kitchen setup was and how we really just wanted to make sure she didn't get any sort of whatever, she understood a bit. It frustrated me so much though because I knew she had to be hungry and I didn't have anything decent to make her full. I pride myself on good quality food and the customer being full after eating, so it hurt her but not being able to help her. I had someone mad because I couldn't get her anything because she was vegan and we were a seafood restaurant. That's her messing up. I've known about a dozen vegans and vegetarians, and we all know that you always eat before going out with friends, and you bring a snack to eat in the bathroom when the restaurant inevitably substitutes a pigeon breast or deer medallion with 2 baby carrots on a plate. Black Friday sales. Also all other sales. I work in customer service and you wouldn't believe the amount of hate we get for having low prices. I bought IT 3 weeks ago and now it's reduced. This is an outrage. I will say that unexpected sales can be annoying for this reason. Buying something the day before it's on sale is mildly infuriating. Black Friday sales are not unexpected though. I agree. I recently bought a TV from a popular retailer here in the UK. I returned 2 days later to buy a replacement cable and it was £200 cheaper. I was annoyed, but it was nobody's fault. A member of staff saw me looking at the TV and asked if I needed help. When I mentioned it, they took me to the front desk and gave me the £200 on a gift card. I was pretty chuffed. I didn't kick up a fuss, and they didn't need to do it at all. Great service. My co-workers and I were discussing our ancestry this weekend. Maybe 6 people. The extent of it was yeah, I'm 6% black, 20% German, stuff like that. Someone complained to management they were offended because we were talking about race. Ugh. They said the B word. I made a comment referring to people from Nigeria as black people and was told to say African American. Some game show host lost their shit because a contestant wore a shirt that looked like something their husband would wear. Like, she accused the contestant of acting better than her husband over a shirt. What's worse is that it was a little normal boring ass suit. Like he literally compared him to a serial killer who would wear other people's faces. YouTube link. Just watch the first few seconds. She can't seriously be talking about a guy wearing the most generic suit I have ever seen. My own name. I have lived in several European countries. When I lived in Spain I introduced myself to this colleague who told me often said that in Spain I should pronounce my name like the Spanish would say it. Not hating on the Spanish BTW, it was just this girl. I have some Anglo-French relatives and they insist on calling us the French versions of our names. So my husband and I are called Michael and Michelle. They call us Michelle and Michelle. My daughter's name is pronounced with a heavily strong French accent and sounds nothing like her actual name. And one of these people are English who married into a French family. They call us Michelle and Michelle. There's a difference between the two. I was at the zoo with a male friend and his 3 kids. The toddler was getting fussy so I offered to sit in the air-conditioned cave viewing area for the sea lions with him and the baby while my friend took the older kid to another exhibit. I fed the baby a bottle while it is sitting in the stroller. This woman runs up on us hysterical that I am not holding my baby and breastfeeding it. She acts like she is going to smack the bottle from my hand. I explained that it's not my baby to breastfeed. She's ranting about the baby growing up poorly because of lack of human contact from its heartless mother. One time at the zoo I was breastfeeding my baby, under a nursing cover even, and an older woman came over and told me it was disgusting. Woman shrugging. Did you tell her to stop watching you like a pervert? Once when we were teenagers I came downstairs and said wow it's really blue out today, referring to the sky. My sister turned and screamed at me why would you say that about my weight? I'm still confused over 10 years later. I agree with your sister. I can't think of a single reason why you'd say that about her weight. Maybe misheard it as you're looking like a blue whale today. I used to work at a clothing store. We had a buy one, get one free sale. An old lady was pissed at me because she didn't understand she had to have 2 items in order to get 1 free. That's a new type of stupid for me. Did you ever manage to explain it to her? No. Haha. I tried explaining but she just got even more mad and stormed off buying anything. I remember other customers were laughing at her while I was trying to explain. I called someone fam after we had a minor disagreement, like you do you, fam, and they went off on me, saying I was basically calling them the N-word. Bruh, how dare you? I told the guy I didn't think we would work out because I couldn't match his activity level. When I reminded him I sometimes use a wheelchair, he got super offended and actually called me a cripple. I'm just glad he showed his true colors from the beginning so I didn't waste more than a couple weeks on him. My disability isn't something that should offend anyone. My husband used a wheelchair in his 30s following a car crash. The amount of hate we got was incredible. No, he isn't faking it. Getting anywhere in a wheelchair is a pain in the ass. There's no reason to use a chair if you don't need it. I had a scheduled C-section for my second daughter after birth complications with my first, but the little booger decided she wasn't going to wait, so I gave birth via C-section at 37 weeks gestation. This left us a bit unprepared because we thought we had another 2 weeks before the grand arrival. We left the hospital with our newborn and headed straight to Walmart for a few essentials. Since I had just been cut open basically hip to hip, I used one of those electric scooter things because it was incredibly painful to walk that fast still. I got so many dirty looks that day, I felt like I needed to put a sign on my back stating why I was using it. Conversation I had at work. Me. The bathroom is for customers only. Guy. So you want me to buy something just to use the bathroom? Me. That is what the bathroom is for customers only means. Yes. Guy. Huffing. Fine. Give me a Coke. Me. That'll be $1.50. Money is exchanged. I try to hand him the bottle of Coke. Guy. I don't want that. Me. What do you want me to do with it? Then? Guy. You ducking drink it. Me. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Guy. Screaming. Don't ducking thank me for that, you goddamn piss Nazi. I think he actually won. I mean, I got a free Coke out of it. Somebody I followed on Instagram revealed that you were pregnant and received a reply about how the announcement was offensive to people who couldn't have children. Poor lady just wanted to share being excited about her first child. What is wrong with some people? Your English is good. As a non-native English language user, I'm offended. Please forget how to speak. Just in case. This was satire. Years ago when I was in university, I worked at a popular retail outlet that sold baby clothes. An older woman and a younger woman, I'm guessing mother-daughter pair, comes in with I guess the younger woman's baby, a newborn at that. Of course, as I'm helping the pair, I'm queuing over this itty bitty cutie and ask her, how adorable. How old is she? The older woman, who I guess is the grandma and was enjoying the attention so far, starts looking daggers at me and says icily he has just gone on 2 months. And his name is, generic common boy's name here, like Daniel, and we are looking for boy clothing. The rest of the time I was helping she was just glaring me down. Like, forgive me lady for not knowing this sentient flesh potato dressed in a generic yellow jumpsuit is a boy or a girl. Sentient flesh potato. Black and Spanish being Negro. Happened to the Philippines too. There's this boy band from my country who made an announcement for their tour to one of the provinces. They started their tweet with hello, Negros. I know. That sounds bad and Americans are probably cringing right now. But hear me out. Negros is the name of an island located in the Visayas region in central Philippines. It is divided into 2 provinces, Negros Occidental and Negros Oriental. It was named that by the Spanish colonizers in reference to the darker skin tone of the inhabitants of the island. So, like, maybe take it up with those guys feo, and is in no way being used as a derogatory term. Well, anyway, people who are unfamiliar with this little fact lost their absolute shit. People were calling the boys racist and asking for both an apology from the boys and their management and then immediate cancellation trademark sign. No matter how hard we tried to explain that the word isn't what they thought it meant, Some of the more insane people refused to hear it out and even suggested that we change the name of an island that has had that name since the 1500s into something less offensive. Holy shit. And then a whole bunch of anti-Filipino tweets started coming out. That was a wild day on twitter.com. A few years ago I saw video online of an African American tourist screaming at and then physically assaulting an elderly man on a bus in South Korea because he asked him not to speak so loud on the phone. He did so in Korean, and thus used the word nigger, which means you in Korean. Someone found out that I'm on the autistic spectrum and was deeply offended that I was not needing basically 24/7 care and supervision like Rain Man. Some days, the greatest challenge of the autism spectrum is condescension. I can't imagine that conversation. You can function? How dare you? It's a spectrum for a reason. Back before caller ID was popular, people got a fair bit of wrong numbers. I've known people who got angry and verbally abused the wrong number caller when the mistake was made clear. I never made sense to me why this was. To be fair, some people would claim wrong number in order to divine some information or for other reasons. But, come on. LOL. When I was a child, our phone number was one digit off from the office of a local doctor. So, for example, our number was 532-5977, and the doctor's office was 532-5077. Now this was back in the days of rotary dial, so it was easy to mistake a 940. I had a lady call the house and ask it was the doctor's office. I said no, you have the wrong number, and I hung up. She calls again, I tell her again that she has the wrong number and to try 532-5077. I hang up, I think it's done. But 2 minutes later the phone rings again. Same lady. She then starts yelling me that I'm lying to her. She knows she has the right number and she needs to make an appointment. She's going to speak to the doctor when she comes in to tell him how incompetent I am. Mid-sentence, I hang up on her and just take the phone off the hook. Enough is enough. Why would anyone who worked at a doctor's office lie to a patient about that? I really hope an employee didn't get yelled at for her mistakes. I actually had kind of the opposite thing happen to me. I kept getting calls from a doctor's office to my phone for another person. I had the same number for many years before that too. The worst part is that they'd leave messages with the patient's name and sometimes even information about medical procedures. This was after all the HIPAA stuff, so I called them up and told them they had the wrong number and should not be giving this information to me. They said they'd fix it, but I kept getting calls. So I called again. Once again I was told that they would fix it, but they didn't. Finally I called a third time and told them if they didn't fix it I was going to turn it into the people who handle HIPAA violations. I also had a woman I was dating at the time who was a nurse get on the phone and talk about how unprofessional what they were doing was. I was out to lunch with a group one afternoon. This group included me, my parents, a handful of other adults, and one of my best friends, who's a guy. I'm a girl. After eating he ordered dessert, which was chocolate cake, and like in most restaurants the slice was huge. He didn't finish it all, so I offered to finish it for him, and he passed the plate to me. Later in the week I hear from my mom that apparently one of the women in our group found it inappropriate that my friend and I shared the cake. I hesitate to even say shared BC, he ate most of it and then I finished it. It's not like we were side by side eating or feeding each other or sharing forks or something. Fortunately nobody else cared, so my mom and I just shook our heads and laughed about it. The cake was super good. BTW. I'm happy that the cake was good. Not sure how authentic this was seeing as it was shared on Facebook, but I remember earlier this year a group of people were claiming a cereal mascot was racist toward black people simply because it was a cartoon monkey. It really shocked me because A, it was a bear not a monkey, and B, if you can't look at a cartoon monkey without thinking of a black person, doesn't that make you the racist? I kinda feel the same way about coon cheese here in Australia. They changed, or are changing, the name of it because it was apparently offensive. The slur comes from raccoon apparently, but we don't have raccoons here, so we have never used that term, and most people here that I have asked have never even heard of it in relation to a slur. And B, it was named after a guy's surname. I think he invented a cheese maturation process. What about the poor coon family? Do they all have to change their names? Try talking English on public transit in Quebec and watch them lose their ducking minds. Yes, a lot of people here have really strong opinions about only French being used in public. It's almost as if they have no idea how ducking hard it is to learn French. I speak French on a daily basis, but if someone can't speak it, I respect it and switch, like anyone who can speak English should. I don't get why some of us are like this. But it seems like they also get annoyed if you attempt to speak French but aren't super fluent. Calling myself out on this one. I once got offended because someone called me pretty. I thought he was really saying it because he thought I was dumb. That was a bit embarrassing once I realized he actually did just think I was pretty. Man, this is embarrassing. Saying the word moist. Grow up if you get offended by that word. Exactly. What am I supposed to use instead? I mean, there are synonyms but none of them quite fit the same. The cake is damp and delicious just doesn't sound right. I do love a humid cake. A woman once got really, seriously angry with me for pronouncing the H in Amherst. Once I said sorry, English isn't my mother language here on I and got like 10 down votes. How dare you be a polyglot? My friend almost got into a fight because some guy refused to believe that kielbasa is the same as Polish sausage. I was back working in contract jobs after not having work for about 5 months. I wasn't all caught up on the new processes yet. I overheard another temp chatting with a manager. When she sat back down, I casually said, "Oh, is that the new process now? I'm still getting caught up." She threw a fit, yelling at me and saying never in my life have I ever had someone try and sabotage my career like this. She grabbed her purse and left for an hour. She refused to talk to me for like 2 days after, lol. She also refused to train me because if I ducked up, it would look bad on her, lol. Other staff actually apologized on a regular basis on her behalf. One time in class, a friend and I were talking about the singer Leonard Cohen, and my friend asked me what his ethnicity was, so I simply stated that he was Jewish, and a couple of our classmates immediately turned around and called us racist and anti-Semitic. I've seen things like that happen, where people refuse to say the word Jew for fear of sounding like a Nazi, instead replacing it with Jewish person. My best friend in elementary school was Jewish, and anytime someone did that he'd get really mad and tell them to say Jew. Using a non-white hairstyle on Animal Crossing on a white character. Is this the space bun I saw somewhere yesterday? A longtime parishioner took umbrage when she entered church on Sunday and saw someone sitting in her pew. She told them it was her pew and that either they move, or she was going to leave. Either they move, or she was going to leave, commonly referred to as threatening everyone with a good time. So, she's not listening to the sermons? This will probably get buried, but it's one of my favorite holiday stories. Back when I worked retail, it was very early January and one of our cashiers was telling people to have a happy new year. Some guy got extremely offended because they apparently don't celebrate New Year's. To this day I don't know what was going on, because that's pretty much an entirely secular holiday. The year is starting over whether you acknowledge that or not, my dude. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more interviews.